for. I mean, these are some of the streaks that came to an end with this loss
Yeah.
are just stunning.
Yeah. So I wrote them down, or at least the ones that I could see /find /heard /verify. So we'll start with the scaling down the streaks. 75 straight at the MAC, 32-year streak over LMU in Spokane, 25 straight over LMU overall. That went back to 2010. 93 straight over unranked teams, 39 straight against WCC teams at home, 36 straight in January, 11 straight overall, 116 straight wins against non-BYU St. Mary's opponents in the WCC. The last loss, USD, on February 22nd of 2014, almost 10 years in between non-BYU St. Mary's losses, and 100-0 in quad 2 to 4 games since the net rankings were introduced prior to this game. This game, I believe, qualified as a quad 2 because St. Mary's was 99 in the, or LMU was 99 in the net. Could be wrong. It could be quad 3. Anyway, the point is, all of those various things coming to an end, all of them kind of, frankly, don't really matter, I guess.
No.
Right? Like they're all just kind of batons with which to beat home how bad of a loss it felt like. I guess, Adam, normally we do kind of zacking up, getting down thing. When you watch the LMU game, what was your first takeaway as to kind of what happened? Or was there just one thing?
There wasn't just one thing. Lots of things have to happen in order for a team like Gonzaga to lose to a team like LMU. Just many things have to go right for them and wrong for us. But the thing that stood out, and it's because it's consistent, is the lack of ability to stop a very talented guard and on dribble penetration. Cam Shelton demolished this defense. That's what stood out to me.
And I wondered, what was really frustrating to me was watching the end, because with about 5 minutes to go and LMU up 5 or 7, their offensive scheme, I mean, you think that they would start running this with 3 minutes to go, but with about 5 minutes to go, it was just let Cam Shelton dribble at the top of the key for 20 seconds. And then when there's about 8 seconds, he'll try to get a high screen and try to do something with it. We didn't try to, we just let them do it, which was really frustrating. Like, you'd think, you know, I think they had Malachi out there guarding him. You'd think that they would maybe put our best on-ball defender on him, but Salas wasn't anywhere to be seen down the stretch. Or they would at least do something to try to keep the ball out of his hands, or they just seemed very complacent. Like, oh, fine, you want to do that? We'll let you do that, and we'll just hope that you miss this time. And, you know, he made about half of those shots, including that dagger 3 with 3.5 minutes to go. But it was really frustrating to me to watch that.
The first thing I wrote down on my kind of game thoughts was pace. It was the slowest game of the season in terms of just sheer number of possessions. We had 66. And it's interesting, like the obvious talking point, I think, is Shelton. One of the obvious talking points was Shelton, and, you know, we had 27, whatever. I mean, we only gave up like a point per possession, really, 68 points on 66 possession. Like it doesn't feel like we played all that poorly defensively.
Well, at least not any more poorly than we have been playing lately.
Sure.
I think it's offset by how many turnovers LMU had.
So that's
a lot of
that's
self-inflicted
thing, right?
wounds.
So one of the notes I wrote down, like, in fact, one of the notes, where was it? I had like back to back. I wrote down again with the foul trouble with LMU in the second half. We're at 12 minutes left, and we're already shooting 1-1s. And like I go in capital letters, how the hell did we lose this? And then the very next note was, I mean, honestly, given LMU's fouls and turnovers, this could have been way worse. Like, this was probably at about somewhere between 10 and 12 minutes left in the game. I don't know. It's just everything about this is weird. I'll have a comment about the margins that we're playing with right now in a moment, but I don't know. I want to be optimistic about the defense in the sense of we did shut them down for large periods of the game, whether that was turnovers or not. The last 5 minutes, they didn't score much.
That's true.
They had a couple of baskets here and there, but like other than the Shelton layup, like they basically didn't score for like the last 3.5 minutes of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we went on like another late game run and took the lead. And, you know, we missed one
They
of the free
were,
throws.
I mean, they
And
were sitting on the ball. So I mean, they
but they
really sucked the possessions down.
Yeah,
So
but
they didn't have as many possessions. They would
If you
have.
don't score out of them, then it doesn't, like, then you become shitty version of St. Mary's, right? But if you're LMU, and they, fair play to them, they got the ball, they got the basket they needed at the end. But I don't know. I guess I'm looking at it going, we didn't seem like we played all that badly. It's just we put ourselves in those positions where one play at the end wins or loses you the game.
Right. And this time we didn't
against Baylor.
Yeah.
We did against USF and Santa Clara and BYU, and we didn't against LMU. Like, I guess 60% is not bad in that regard. I don't know. Is that too optimistic? Is that really looking at the glass half full?
I mean, I think so. I mean, if you're saying what, I mean, we can't. It was the end of the streak, losing at home. We never lose at home. Blah blah blah. All this stuff. But I think, Chris, you make a good point that when you look at the numbers and you look at the efficiencies, like, which is important to do also. I mean, obviously, this is a heartbreaking loss for fans because we just feel so invincible at home, and so that brings in a level of emotion and fire that maybe you don't. But when like you pointed out, the defense wasn't all that much worse than our usual defense. However, offensively,
yeah, that's the problem.
That's ultimately the problem. I mean, you got to find a way to like slow down Cam Sheldon at the end of the game. You just have to, and we didn't. I don't know if that's probably some coaching stuff. I don't know. I don't know enough about the game. But you got to shoot better. 16.6% from 3-point in the first half at home. You make 2 of those, you win. Second half, we were at 37%, so a lot better. But total for the game, 28.6%.
I mean, but not really. Like, it's not that. I mean, it is better, but it's not.
It's twice. It's more than twice as good. But it's still garbage.
I mean, 1 to 3.
I mean, inside the arc. I mean, second half. I mean, there was this team. I've said it before on this show. This team has a way of just going completely flat offensively for stretches of games that no Gonzaga team in recent memory has. Like they can all score, they can play. They're not like bad players, but there's these weird stretches where suddenly we go a long time without scoring, and it's bizarre.
Yeah. They're so inconsistent. They can't. They don't have a player they can rely upon besides Drew Timme. And so when Drew Timme has an off night, which he did, he didn't start scoring until the last five minutes of the game. He was really, really quite bad until he made some big shots down the stretch. Julian Strother was complete no-show in this game. So was Malachi Smith, complete no-show. You cannot rely on him. He's either going to score 25 points or he's going to score 3. I mean, it's ridiculous. And, Anton had a decent game, and Nolan Hickman actually had a pretty great game.
He had a nice game offensively.
Definitely.
But the inconsistency kills this team on offense because you don't know you don't know what to expect from the guys that aren't Drew Timme. And then when you don't get a good game from Drew, and you also don't get a good game from Julian or Rasir Bolton. Rasir Bolton scored a lot early. He had like 8 of his 10 points.
He only
really
played 21 minutes. That was weird.
And he was gone. I mean, Malachi Smith played a lot. I think. Malachi Smith hit a couple shots, but he was in there at the end instead of. I thought Hunter Salah should have been in there at the end. The other thing they couldn't do is rebound.
Yeah.
The offensive rebounds killed us. They gave up 12 offensive rebounds, which in a low possession game ended up being 35%, which is a huge number. And there's really no excuse to get owned on the glass like that. 38-29, which is brutal.
Yeah.
Drew Timme had a really hard time with Asanza. Rick Asanza Drew Timme seems to have trouble with the really big post defense.
In and of itself is weird, right? Like, it doesn't feel maybe, and I'm misremembering how conference play, not even conference play, but specifically conference teams, like who they had in the post in years prior. But isn't it weird to see Timme struggle this much? Like, the occasional off game, sure. But Baylor, San Francisco, Santa Clara in the first half, LMU, hell, even Xavier for large stretches. Like, the lack of a consistent second option is telling and relevant, but seeing Timmy struggle this consistently is weird and tough. And
Yeah, it's not. It's very cognitively dissonant. You see, guys. There's too much. Seems like too much. Like just give it to Timmy and then just watch him try to do something. And doesn't. There seems like it's pretty stagnant. Not a lot of movement. Not a lot of cutting, which we've been so.
And he's a good like he's a good and willing passer. Like that's not the issue, I would think.
And then when they're not hitting 3-pointers, they're really not that great of an offensive team when they're not hitting 3-pointers.
Yeah, Adam, another point of emphasis from this game.
I don't know. It's just a lot of
sadness.
Yeah, it bummed me out to know that we lost. I mean, I guess LMU is kind of, like you said, my second favorite team in the WCC. So if we had to lose to anybody, I guess it would rather be them. But it's gross. It's totally gross. And what's gross is the shooting. The shooting was gross. We're at home, for crying out loud. It's just so bizarre. Like a team that can drop 115 points on Portland and shoot whatever, like 60+% we shot from beyond the arc in that game. Then they come into this game and they're, 28,
14 from three and
28%. The second half, there was a huge stretch where they just didn't score.
Yeah.
Like 2 of 10 at one point.
No.
Do you guys think, no one has mentioned this on, I didn't see it anywhere. But I swear I watched it many times. 61-57. We're behind. 3:45 left in the game. Shelton's doing his dribble thing. They missed a shot. They get an offensive rebound. I'm freaking out. Rebound the ball. They go back out. They re-dribble. Shelton has the ball in his hands, and he shoots it as the buzzer is sounding. He did not get it out of his hands. I swear.
I didn't notice that.
To Baby Jeebus, I swear he did not. I watched that a billion times. The buzzer is sounding and the ball is still in his hands. He airballs it, or he barely hits the rim or whatever.
But then they got the rebound again.
But they got the rebound, and Anton fouled him. They make both shots. And I'm screaming, it was a shot clock violation. I swear to God, I'll go to my grave thinking that was a shot clock violation.
Kelly agrees.
And Tilly, yeah, she does agree.
Sorry,
you can hear her through the door. And no, they lose by 1 point. I mean, I'm not going to blame the rest for the loss. There's a billion reasons why Gonzaga lost, but that play, I actually thought the rest were pretty decent all game. But that play, I thought was a big miss.
Yeah, and that's the first rebound before that Shelton 3, like the one you're talking about that he didn't get off. Watson, I had it in my notes. Watson and I think Malachi, like each had it in their hands.
It's
and
so
basically
brutal.
stopped and like they husband, what do they call it in volleyball, husband and wifing it.
Yeah.
And they just sort of got in between them, and both of them thought the other one was going to get it. And like that sort of goes to the margins thing. And I'll just talk about it here. Like leaving aside the free throws, which were obvious and pretty bad. Like at one point in the first half, Timmy found Ben Gregg underneath, and he sort of waited for the defense to get to him. Like he did a power dribble and then waited and kind of upbaked a few times when like just could have gone up. Just could have gone up. And like before the defense got to him, like he was just expecting people to be there quicker. And then Strother, after a scramble, he got fouled and he missed a layup. Timmy missed a layup when Hickman fed him when he had Shelton guarding him. Like all these little things. Strother missing a front end. Timmy got the rebound with 43 seconds left and of course missed the first free throw. All of these things, you play with small margins and these individual things come back and bite you. And, you know, any one of those things, Marty, we add the referee call. Like, you don't blame the rest for the game. You know, you can blame them for the call or not lack of call, I guess. But you put yourself in a spot where one missed call, off call, whatever you want to call it, punishes you. And, you know, defensive miscues. Bolton fouled Anderson on a and one with about 14 minutes left or something, and he just slid underneath him for no reason. Hickman, like the ball watching on the backdoor layup, I think it was Shelton that got that. And Hickman knew it. Like he turned around and like punched the air. Like he knew he could. Like Timmy and Malachi missed that rebound. It turns into Shelton 3. Sorry, I said Watson earlier. Timmy and Smith. Timmy basically at the last bucket. Timmy and was guarding Shelton on a switch, which we've seen two teams do a gazillion times, either to punish Hickman or to punish Timmy. And in this case, Shelton just danced and danced and danced and danced. Why is Timmy by himself
Yeah.
Shelton. And even after the game, and Theo Lawson wrote in the spokesman, Shelton was quoted as, "We drew up a high ball screen for me to get downhill on Timmy. We knew he was going to be guarding me. They had switched a couple times before. That's just a look I think we're comfortable with." Why?
Yeah.
Why is he guarding when the margins are this thin for this point for this team, basically against any team half worth a damn?
Mm-hmm. And we can't forget. I mean, we talked a lot about the things that Gonzaga did wrong. I mean, let's hand it to LMU. Stan Johnson came with a really solid game plan, and he coached it
We
really
kind of
well.
did hand it to LMU, but
yeah, nice work. And they played well. A guy like Jalen Anderson, who's not their best player, not someone who is usually a big contributor on offense, had 15 points, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. Obviously, Shelton was amazing. Leo Pepe was fine, but not great. He had 1 of 2 from beyond. He didn't take a lot of shots. And then Michael Graham, who had crazy amounts was rebounding like a maniac. You know, he had not almost a double-double. He had 9 points, 10 rebounds, but 5 offensive rebounds, 12 offensive rebounds for them in this game.